In its present form in 2281, the Commonwealth is a wasteland much like many others seen across the post-war United States. Nightmarish monsters and equally nightmarish human beings prowl the region, preying on Commonwealth denizens unfortunate enough to cross their path. However, human settlements do exist, scattered across the wasteland in various forms. The Great Green Jewel, Diamond City, is seen as the de facto capital for the area, and trade and commerce is seen to be engaged between the settlements across the wasteland. We've seen other wasteland societies band together to form strong United Nations, the NCR as a key example, so why was the same not possible in the Commonwealth? Well, the truth is that it nearly was a possibility. The Commonwealth was on the brink of creating a united federation that could have in time mirrored that of the NCR. This was known as the Commonwealth Provisional Government, a coalition that unfortunately was brought crashing to the ground before it could ever truly begin. The exact date of its formation is difficult to pin down, however we can confirm that it would have been formed sometime after the Minutemen's defense of Diamond City in 2180. Flush with power, prestige, and favour, following the defense of Diamond City, the Minutemen endeavoured to formalize the loose human groups across the Commonwealth into a united alliance. Although being a citizen army of volunteers from across the wasteland, the Minutemen had begun to formalize as a proper army, possessing a headquarters in the castle, solidified chains of command, and funding and support from the people of the wasteland. Essentially, the Commonwealth had an army to protect the region, but now it needed a government to unite it. And so the CPG was founded on the democratic values of pre-war America. To the far corners of the Commonwealth, messages were sent to communities. The various settlements of the Commonwealth, both big and small, were encouraged to send their own representatives to the Commonwealth Provisional Government, or CPG. Each was meant to provide a voice for their area in a bid to pool resources to solve the issues facing human beings across the Commonwealth. If we compare it to the NCR system, each community could be compared to a state, with each representative on par with a senator. This coalition was intended to unite the people of the wasteland to improve their lot, turning them from isolated, scattered pockets of humanity into one unified group. The Minutemen were the glue intended to hold the CPG together. Although each settlement sent their own representative to vote on a specific plan, the decision to act on proposed legislation rested in their hands. For example, a representative from Quincy might ask for assistance in removing a gang of raiders blocking caravan routes to the west of the Commonwealth. The Quincy rep might argue that by destroying the gang, more caravan routes could be opened to Quincy, but also communities to the west outside of the Commonwealth. This opening of routes and commerce could benefit the region as a whole rather than one isolated settlement. The CPG would take a vote, and the Minutemen would act if more than 50% of the representatives agreed. The CPG looked like it had a bright future ahead of itself. The people of the Commonwealth finally felt like they had a say in the world around them. In a world beset by challenges, it made sense to form a united front to face said challenges. Even the Institute chose to join the CPG in 2183, although the details on the why are a bit murky. Some stated that they truly believed the surface dwellers were becoming civilized people again, and wanted to lend a hand in restarting the world above. Others argued that they instead wished to keep a close eye on the growing threat of an independent nation. Unfortunately, the CPG was not to last. In the years prior to the Broken Mask incident, the CPG was destroyed from the inside. The exact sources differ on what happened, however. Commonwealth residents state as a fact that the Institute, paranoid at the threat posed by United Wastelanders, sent a synth as their representative to wipe out the government.
Commonwealth Provisional Government. Years back, a group of settlements tried to get together and form a coalition. Every settlement with even a hint of clout sent representatives to try and hash out an agreement. Only the Institute sent a representative of their own, a synth. The man killed every rep at the talks. The Commonwealth Provisional Government was over before it even got off the ground.
For their part, the Institute tells a different story. Two separate takes from the Institute are able to be heard, detailing why the CPG never came to fruition.
Surprised? The Institute once tried to help create a stabilized Commonwealth government. It ended in bickering, infighting. It was a disaster. No. We look after our own now.
Sean categorizes the CPG as an operation doomed from the start. However, a more hopeful plan for the CPG can be heard in a report given to the then director of the Institute.
Look, Director, I'm gonna make the same recommendation I did last time. We did everything we could. 4 years dedicated to preserving this Commonwealth Provisional Government. You've seen the same reports I have. It's falling apart and fast. We need a plan for what happens when that fall is complete. I know some of the other divisions have suggested we just cut off all contact, hide underground and pretend nobody's home. That would, in my opinion, be a mistake. We can't just give up on these people. And with the Android program, we don't have to. We'll soon have the capabilities to deploy androids to the surface in great enough numbers to maintain order. Just think about it, all right?
Although Sean never outwardly confirms or denies the synth agent being sent to massacre the representatives, his and the recording summary speak of an institute that was willing to engage with the Commonwealth, one that considered themselves to be as much a part of the people of the region as Diamond City residents or Quincy residents. The fault that it never worked out lies not with the Institute, but with the surface savages who could never fulfill their attempt at becoming civilized. That being said, we do know that the Institute had been kidnapping Commonwealth residents and transforming them into super mutants a full decade prior to joining the CPG, with the project indicated to have never stopped in any form until Brian Virgil sabotaged it. It's hard to take their proclamation of being a benevolent force who only sought to help the Commonwealth seriously when they were turning said residents into monsters purely for the sake of science. In conclusion, the failure of the Commonwealth Provisional Government is a sad chapter in the history of the Commonwealth. The land and resources of the region had the capacity to allow the people of the region to form a government that could have been on par with the NCR as a post-war nation. The lives of its people would have no doubt benefited under the unified rule of a coalition of settlements. That being said, it's not to say that the Commonwealth Provisional Government could never return in some form or another. If the sole survivor took on the mantle of general and seized the Commonwealth for the Minutemen, then perhaps the CPG could rise again from the ashes of its past. The Institute would be unable to sabotage its growth, being a smoking crater, and the Brotherhood may either be an eliminated foe or a potential ally, depending on actions taken. All in all, the Commonwealth Provisional Government is an interesting look into the potential past and future that the Commonwealth could have had.